Today's episode is sponsored by Raul Rodriguez Law.
You are looking live at the Leija Lounge. I've always wanted to say that, James.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason I said it that way, because I'm drawing my inner Brent Musburger voice, right? He always would say that. You are looking live. Man, James, we're excited. We've got a guy we wanted to have on our podcast for quite some time.
He's almost royalty.
He is almost, and we'll get into that.
It's almost this close to royalty.
This close. It's our honor to have and welcome you to the Leija Lounge, Thomas Treiber, ring announcer extraordinaire.
Wow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for having me. It's truly an honor to be joining you both here in the lounge.
In the lounge,
man. Yeah, you like our day?
I love this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's really, really kind of
cool. The only thing is, I think we should do.
We'll get you a cocktail here in a
minute.
minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's what I was about to say.
We should do that. I'm telling you, we should have some cocktails, have just our robes
on.
I
thought that's what you had already.
In our robes.
Oh, in our robes.
And just, some cigars.
You know what?
That would be perfect, right?
Jason,
Wouldn't that,
what do you think,
buddy? Jason?
Get it prepared for next time.
Nice. Man, Tom, we would have known that. You could have brought your the robe given to you by His Excellency. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But we're just honored to have you here.
Thank you.
I think a lot of our viewers want to know you and would like to get to know you a little bit better. So just quick little bio on Thomas. You guys know him from the ring. He's done some big, massive ring announcing from around the world, especially the Riyadh season, doing the big time fights. He is just a big time ring announcer. I mean, you've had an amazing career. You started out as a bodybuilder. You're still in really good shape.
I'm trying.
Tell us about yourself. Tell us like born and raised and all that good stuff.
Well, I grew up just outside the city of Chicago. I actually grew up in Hammond, Indiana. It's just on the outskirts of Chicago. And always loved sports. I played Little League baseball starting at around 4 or 5 years of age. Fell in love with sports. My dad was a big sports fan. And as I got a little older, I actually started to really become a big professional wrestling fan, because that was the mid-'80s. That was when WrestleMania was starting and Hulk Hogan was becoming a massive star. So really became a big wrestling fan, which then led me to being interested in bodybuilding as well. So after playing organized sports up until I was about 13, 14 years old, I joined a gym, and that's where I said, wait a minute, I really, really, love this. I love training. I fell in love with bodybuilding. I had this goal then to compete in bodybuilding. So I put organized sports aside throughout my high school years, and it was when I was 19, I actually competed in bodybuilding, and I was fortunate. I ended up winning the 1992 Teenage Mr. Illinois bodybuilding competition.
Nice. Wow, man.
And after I did that, I really didn't want to take the bodybuilding any farther because I became a professional wrestler shortly after that bodybuilding competition. I took my dreams of being involved in the wrestling business to reality. And but to back up a little bit, I started ring announcing at 17 when I was a senior in high school.
Yeah.
Both professional.
Tell us that story.
So, I had an interest in broadcasting already, and it was my senior year of high school, and we had a talent show, just like high schools do. And at the time, the Chicago Bulls were winning all the championships with Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. And they had that entrance, with that music. And, they would come out with the spotlight on them. And because I was the host of the talent show, I said, man, why don't I introduce, I told our drama teacher, why don't you let me introduce the participants just like they introduce the Bulls players? Have them come out with a spotlight. And, I was like, ladies and gentlemen, playing the clarinet here tonight, here is Jennifer Kosis. And just, one by one, they came out.
That's so cool.
And after I did that, I started really getting an idea of like, wow, I'd really like to be an announcer. And as luck has it, I went to high school with Eric Jakubowski, who was in my grade, and his brother, Marty Jakubowski. And Marty, both of them, turned professional, and Marty had a lot of great fights. He fought Julio Cesar Chavez. He became a USBA lightweight champion, had a great career in boxing, over 100 fights, which is a rarity, James, as you know.
They won't do that today.
No, and they put me in touch with a promoter out of Indianapolis, Indiana. His name was Fred Burns. I was 17 years old, like I said, still in high school. And Fred said, look, I'll give you an opportunity, to ring announce my next show. And I was like, wow. He's like, get there an hour before, bring a notepad, and wear a suit. And I was like, okay. And did that event. And he said, you didn't do too bad of a job. I'll let you do the next one. And that's where it started. And eventually, like I said, a few years after that, I did try my hand at professional wrestling, which I did for a couple of years.
Did you go into like a wrestling school?
I didn't go to a school, okay, but I was trained by a professional wrestler.
Okay.
I would show up because I was ring announcing the wrestling shows, which is how I got my foot in the door in professional wrestling. I would show up like 3 or 4 hours before the show would start, and I would go in the ring, and we would practice in the ring, taking bumps, lockups, things like that. And then there were certain days that we would meet at a YMCA and just on a wrestling mat, practice some moves and stuff like that.
He would throw you around?
He would throw me around. And after about 3-4 months of that, I, got to make my professional wrestling debut at 19 and wrestled mostly on the independent wrestling circuit throughout the Chicago area. But I got very lucky. I was wrestling on a show in St. Louis, Missouri, and there was a WCW Talent Scout, World Championship Wrestling, which was the number 2 company to the WWF, which is now WWE at that time. And they said, the scout who was there said, we like your look. We think we can do something with you. And they brought me...
it's all about that look, right? You have to have that look. Something.
I mean, back in the 80s and 90s, they were all monsters, all bodybuilders and so forth. And I wasn't a big guy, but I was well built. I knew to get a good tan and, shave the body and try and at least look like a wrestler. So I did everything I could to look as good as I could in the ring. And that led me to some opportunity to wrestle as enhancement talent for WCW, or as a jobber, some people refer to an enhancement. I was always brought in to lose. So, but
you were like the Generals, always the Washington Generals to the Harlem Globetrotters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your job as enhancement talent, or as a jobber, if you will, is to make their stars look like stars.
Yes.
And I didn't have a problem doing that at all. I was only 19 years old. Yeah. I was not even a year into wrestling, and here I was on national TV wrestling some big names. And
give us some of those names.
Well, the most notable name would be Stone Cold Steve Austin. And he, at the time...
From San Antonio, right? Bernie?
He is. He's from Texas. I don't know where he's not a native of San Antonio, but he did live in San Antonio for a period of time, which quite a few wrestlers did.
I think he lives in Bernie. From what I heard, he lives in Bernie. I could be wrong.
I don't know. I don't know where he lives now, but at the time he was stunning Steve Austin. He was stunning Steve Austin. He wasn't Stone Cold yet.
Yeah, he was a blonde hair.
Yeah, still had his hair, and he was in a tag team called the Hollywood Blondes, and his tag team partner was Flying Brian Pillman. Sadly, he passed away since then, but that was a big opportunity for me. And then I wrestled Ravishing Rick Rude. He had a big career in the WWF, but at this time he had gone from the WWF to WCW. And a wrestler named the Equalizer. I also wrestled in some tag team matches with a team called the Awesome Kongs, I think it was, the Kongs. They were managed by Harley Race, who was a legendary wrestler. He was their manager. World champion. Definitely, had my pinch me moments because as I mentioned earlier, I was a huge professional wrestling fan. Right. So to be 19 years old now and be lacing up my boots next to Ric Flair was pretty surreal, That's awesome. So very thankful, for that period of my life. And
did you during that time? I mean, here's a wrestling fan, and James and I are fans of wrestling, have always been. And his son James Jr. is a big time fan as well. But so here you are, you're in the locker room, right? Was there ever a time when you were being the jobber or the enhanced talent where you were thinking about moving from enhanced talent to the next level, or did they ever have conversations with you about that?
No, I was never. I mean, I was getting good feedback.
Yeah.
But that was never discussed.
Right.
I was on a show-to-show basis. I wasn't on any kind of contract or anything with WCW, and but it really wasn't too much long after that I really shifted gears to wanting to really focus 100% on my ring announcing work. I started getting because I never quit ring announcing. Even when I was wrestling for WCW, I was ring announcing boxing events. And once I started to get to do television, I made my debut on ESPN. And it was at that point that I said, wow, this is truly where my heart is.
I could make a run of this. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, putting on the tights was definitely a dream come true.
Sure.
But I felt, but I'm 5'10". I'm not 6'2", 6'4".
Yeah.
And, at that time, it was a land of the giants.
Yeah.
I mean, if you weren't 6'2", 6'4", 6'5", Vince McMahon wouldn't even look at you, typically. And things have changed now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a complete...
And back in the day, Vince, he was looking for a certain body type, that he would kind of sign. And, you look at it back when we started kind of watching it, it was bigger guys, the Wahoo McDaniels, Abdullah the Butcher type, Bruiser Brody, kind of a bigger, more barrel-chested kind of guys. And then all of a sudden it starts to morph into Hulk Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage. Ooh,
became a fitness.
Yeah, it
muscle,
did.
Warrior.
Yeah,
Ultimate
right.
Warrior,
It became, it morphed into something like that. And you're right. You'd have to be a certain size, I suppose.
You did. But I just, my first interest was broadcasting, announcing. Yeah. The wrestling just kind of happened throughout the process. Yeah. And just because I had a bodybuilding background, I was able to kind of, get some opportunity as a wrestler. But I knew ring announcing was really where I wanted to go.
So I suppose the training of bodybuilding, because you got to be disciplined for bodybuilding, right?
Absolutely.
You got to be dedicated for it. You have to be disciplined to get into professional wrestling because you have to really learn how to dance with somebody else, right? And there's a skill set along with that. All of that training must have really helped you out as you started to ring announce, because you got to be kind of zeroed in, focused in on what you're doing. It's not as simple as just somebody hands you a piece of paper and you have to announce this. And maybe some people that could very well be the case, but you really got to spend some time on your delivery and how you're going to do it, your look, because you want to make those fighters shine too and give them their moment and their respect when they're in the ring.
Absolutely. And, and the more experience you get in front of a camera, that's why I always tell aspiring ring announcers who, message me or I'll meet at events. I say, look, do every gig you can behind a microphone. I've worn many hats. I've done radio. I've done voiceover work. I've done MC work for all kinds of different functions and things like that. And I think that will make you a better ring announcer when you have all of that experience, because even though as a ring announcer you're mostly just introducing the boxers or announcing the decisions, there are going to be things thrown at you sometimes where you've got to do something off the cuff. In fact, on some of our early Riyadh season shows in Saudi Arabia, they did a car giveaway. So they had me on the pay-per-view with His Excellency, and I would announce, the winner of the car. And it was a little bit different than my, role as a ring announcer. And I think my background hosting and emceeing and doing different things like that helped me in a situation like that.
Heck yeah, I could certainly see something. So your first one of your first jobs was doing ESPN?
Yes.
How did that come about?
So in 1995, I was doing a show in Terre Haute, Indiana. And I mentioned when I got my first opportunities to ring announce, I was working for a promoter named Fred Burns. Sadly, he recently passed away. And Fred did a show in Terre Haute at the Illinois State University. And at that event, I met a gentleman named Larry Carrier, who was out of Tennessee. And it was just a little meeting, met him, said hello. He gave me his business card. I gave him my business card. And that was about it. It was just kind of a little quick meeting. Well, one day out of nowhere, I get a phone call, and it's a lady. She says she's the secretary for Larry Carrier. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember meeting him. And she's like, Larry just did a 5-fight deal with ESPN, and she wants you to ring announce his first event in February. And I was like, holy cow. And now this was ESPN2, The Deuce.
Yeah.
Remember when they started ESPN, The Deuce? Yeah. And they were, that was like their second tier channel, but nonetheless, it was ESPN and it was national TV.
Absolutely.
So long story short, Larry hired me, and I ended up doing all 5 of those events on ESPN in 1995. Nice. Wow. And it kind of went into early, mid-96 with those 5 events. And after that ended, because he stopped promoting shows, and Larry was the owner, by the way, of the Bristol International Raceway in Bristol, Tennessee. Oh. But his son was a boxer, a heavyweight named Mark the Shark Carrier. And that's how Larry got involved in the boxing business, was because of his son being a boxer, but he was the owner of this raceway. So he actually built...
It's not a little raceway either, man.
No. He built an arena on the same property as the raceway. Wow. And that's where we did our shows. And that's where we did our shows. And the reason he was able to get this contract with ESPN as well is because he had a contract for drag racing. So he already had a relationship with ESPN. Yeah. So then he came up with this concept of, hey, I want to do some boxing events. Let's do them, at the raceway. He put his son on a couple of the cards as well, put him on national TV. So it was a very unique situation, but getting that footage, getting that experience as a ring announcer was very difficult at that time, because Michael Buffer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
There's only so many shows, right?
There was only so many shows. There wasn't all these streaming sites like there are today. I mean, to be on national TV in 1995 was a big deal. Yeah. And I was
same thing as a fighter.
There you go.
There was only a couple of, you're either on HBO, Showtime, and ESPN.
USA Tuesday Night Fights, remember?
And Fox, that's it. There wasn't many.
That's it. So I took that footage and I started sending it around to all the different promoters. And one of them was Top Rank Boxing in Las Vegas, of course, Bob Arum. And ended up getting an opportunity to ring announce for Top Rank. They put me on some of their ESPN shows in 1996. In fact, one of them was Floyd Mayweather Jr.'s second professional fight in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Johnny Tapia was the main event that night, and Bob was highlighting his 3 Olympians that he had just signed in 96. It was Floyd, Eric Morrell, and David Diaz. And they were, and you might have been with Top Rank at this time, James.
Yeah, I was at Top Rank. What year was this?
96.
Yes, I was at Top Rank.
And that started that relationship with Top Rank, which then led me to my big break, if you will, in 1997, when Dan Goosen started a company called America Presents.
I was with them.
And this was when Fox Sports Net started taking off and buying out all the regional channels, and everything was becoming Fox Sports West, Fox Sports Northeast. And Dan had a series called Fight Time on Fox, and he put me on a 2-year exclusive contract as the ring announcer for America Presents, and that's where I met you.
Wow,
man.
What
I always say this. I always tell I always say this, even on our podcast, but is people probably tell you, man, you're so lucky to be able to do everything you do, right? And I always say, when people say that to me, I say, yeah, the harder I work, the luckier I get.
That's
how long you been doing this now? 30 what years?
34 years. I started in 1991. It's 2025 now. I'm 52 years old, and I've been very fortunate to be doing this for 34 years now. For a lot of years, though, I had to work a side job, had to make ends meet. But, I've been very blessed now that I make a full-time living doing what I love. Yeah. But, yes, I've always been a firm believer that you have to create your own luck.
Exactly.
What fight did you guys meet at?
James was fighting Azuma Nelson at the Alamo Dome here in San Antonio.
93?
This would have been 90
or 98.
98.
The last fight.
Yes, the last one, the rematch. When you fought twice or three times?
4 times.
4 times. Holy cow, that's right.
Yeah. And then maybe you'll announce a 5th fight.
Yeah. We're talking about it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. And well, unfortunately, I didn't get to ring announce.
Sponsored by Depends, by the way.
Geritol.
Oh, my goodness.
James depends on Depends.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Wearing the white diaper? No. So, but the thing is that this was with America Presents. They were promoting this event. And it was, a big deal to be at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio doing this, big event, and to have Jesse James Leija, in the main event. And, I knew it was a big, big event, and I was thankful for it. But Michael Buffer ended up getting the call to do the main event. So I did do the full undercard on that show, but didn't have the honors of ring announcing your fight that night. But that was when I met James Leija.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, listen, I mean, and James is right. It's all those years of just grinding and the hard work and doing the work inside the ring and setting out those tapes, and I mean, it certainly has paid off for you in spades.
I am very, very thankful, and I don't take anything for granted. And I don't forget about the tough years.
You tend to work harder now, right? Because of what you've been given. Like, I got to keep up. Just keep working harder so I can maintain where I'm at or do what I'm at, what I'm doing, and people can see the hard work that goes into all this. Not just I got it made.
Yeah, and as a former world champion yourself, you would understand that, where the goal as a fighter is to become a world champion. But when you reach that point of being a world champion, now everybody's coming after you. Now there's a lot more pressure. So, yes, I mean, when you work at a high level and you're working events that the world is watching, there's certainly that extra element of pressure. But, that's, again, where experience comes into play. And, the more you do something, the more relaxed you get at it. But I'm thankful every day, that I get to do this for a living. And, as we're recording this, still a lot more great shows before we end 2025 coming up. Very excited.
Awesome. So, listen, I mean, boxing is a business full of characters, and you certainly have met your fair share of characters. And there's got to be some funny little things, behind-the-scene things that may have happened. And I don't know if there's anything that maybe you can kind of share with us and with our audience, of just some of the characters or funny stuff that, one of these you shake your head and you go, that's freaking boxing.
Well, I mean, certainly there's a lot of different personalities, in the boxing business, and I've made a lot of great friends, in the boxing business. But I think that's what makes it fun. I think that's what makes this job interesting, is you never know what to expect one event to the next event. And I love the traveling part of it, meeting people from all over the world. And
the actual traveling, or just meeting the people all over the world?
Yeah, I not only enjoy the traveling part of it. It's nice just to get to where I want to be, but you make the most out of it. I'm thankful now that I get to travel, with some great airlines and things like that. But back in the day, I'd be driving, from show to show. A show would end, and I'd drive 3-4 hours and have to pull over at a gas station and just sleep a few hours in my tux, and then and then continue driving, because I couldn't afford a hotel. Right. The promoters weren't offering to fly me in sometimes, so to get a gig, you just do whatever it took. And sometimes you'd get home, and after you refill your gas tank and buy a sandwich, you spent everything you made.
Yeah. Did you have any promoters, earlier on? Because there's a certain level that you always got to be weary of. Certainly when you're kind of starting out. It's the same thing in the music business, live entertainment world. Sometimes there are some artists, young bands that are getting started that, sorry guys, can't pay you tonight. We didn't make enough at the bar. Or did you ever have something like that come up to you where, hey Tom, great job, but I'll catch you next time?
Yeah. That's a good question. I was pretty lucky to where that did happen a couple of times. Where I got a bad check, the check bounced. In fact, the last time I did the Leija benefit event, my check bounced.
No,
I'm just kidding.
I was like, that's good.
James,
which is why I'm here. I'm here to collect my pay.
No, Jason.
No, that would never happen.
Jason?
That would never happen.
Yeah. Pay the guy, Jason. Pay the guy.
Jason's going to get fired. He should.
Yeah.
He was supposed to make sure.
Oh, he's the one.
He's the one.
All right.
Trying to do accounting and everything back here.
Yeah, right.
Okay. No, there was a few times where, but usually the promoters would end up paying me, and it wasn't done intentionally or anything like that. But yeah, when you're starting off, and especially when I started ring announcing professional wrestling events, man, it's very low budget.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're lucky if there's 50 people in the audience, so, it's really a labor of love. I think people who find something they love, I never was in it for the money. I just said, you know what? If I could pay my bills and do this, that would be the most amazing thing in the world.
Yeah. Look what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
I'm able to do this.
Exactly. And like I said, for many years, I had to work a side job and this and that. But that's one thing that I feel very, very fortunate with is, now I make a good living doing something I love.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you make the jump going to Queensberry, doing that, and then working Riyadh season? How does all that kind of come about?
Well, for many years, I ring announced ESPN shows. Showtime had a series called Showbox, The New Generation. I was on there from the first year until the last year of it, and it lasted over 20 years. So I was very fortunate to be part of that series, Showbox, The New Generation. That gave me a lot of exposure. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what led me to getting an opportunity with Frank Warren in Queensberry out of England. Doing a Showbox show many years ago, I had met one of Frank Warren's executives. Mm-hmm. And in 2017, September of 2017, I got contacted by Jimmy Lennon Jr. And Jimmy said,
who's just one of the nicest guys in the world.
Great guy.
He loves James.
Yeah,
he loves James Leija.
He's a good guy.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, introducing James Leija.
Yeah, the always.
That's good. But he
always classy.
He would have said the classy Jesse James.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was his thing.
Yeah, Jimmy's a great guy.
Yes, he is.
I had the honor of doing undercards for him on many Showtime Championship boxing events, pay-per-views, you name it. And at that time, Frank Warren had just done a deal with a network called BT Sport, and they were going to want one ring announcer for all their shows, and all in the UK. And Jimmy couldn't make that commitment because he had a great relationship with Frank Warren for many years. They would fly him in for all their big events and things like that. But because of this new series being monthly, sometimes twice a month, Jimmy just couldn't make that commitment. So
he's a principal, right? Well,
he's retired now, from what I understand.
Okay,
but he actually worked in the school system, while having a career like he had. I don't know how he did it because I'm never home. I can't have another job nowadays. But I don't know how Jimmy was able to pull that off all those years, but he did. And but Jimmy put me in touch with an executive with Queensberry, and we worked out a deal. And now for 8 years, in fact, I just celebrated my 8-year anniversary. I have been traveling monthly to the UK. And to answer your question about Riyadh season, a couple of years ago, when they had Tyson Fury fight Francis Ngannou, they worked with Queensberry on that, Frank Warren and Queensberry, because they had Tyson Fury under contract. And that got my foot in the door with working in Saudi Arabia and working with His Excellency. And now it's been 2 years. I've lost count of how many times I've worked in Saudi Arabia. I've done every event except for one.
Do you like Saudi Arabia? Is it nice?
Love it.
Some people say it's really cool in certain spots, and other spots you don't want to be there. I've never been there, so.
I don't go out too much.
You stay in the,
even when I do shows, here in the U.S. When I'm traveling on business, I don't venture out too much.
Okay.
But I really the people there are wonderful. The hospitality at the hotel we stay at is top of the line, unbelievable, and getting an opportunity to work there in the beautiful Kingdom Arena where we've done many shows. Now we do shows in the A&B Arena, which is adjacent to the Kingdom Arena, and get to be part of incredible fights and events like Fury and Usyk fighting Bivol, Beterbiev. I mean, just to be a part of those kind of events has truly been an amazing experience. And not only have we done shows in Saudi Arabia with His Excellency, but we've also done shows in the U.S. We've done New York. We've done Los Angeles. I was just in Las Vegas a few weeks ago when Canelo fought Crawford. I was part of Fight Week. I didn't do Fight Night, but in the middle of the week, His Excellency had me there on Wednesday to do undercard or they did like a special night of boxing during Fight Week there. So it's just been an incredible experience, and really, really love going to Saudi Arabia.
When you're in Saudi Arabia, do they let women? Do women come to the fights?
Oh yeah,
They do.
yeah.
Okay. At one point they didn't, right? At one point.
I don't know if they were ever not allowed to.
I don't know.
But I do see.
Okay.
Women
Is
at
it?
the fights,
I've never been. Is it a place for boxing? I mean, like here in the States, people they want to have a drink in their hand, and so
Yeah.
do they sell alcoholic beverages in Saudi
They
Arabia?
do not.
Okay.
They do not. There are still some restrictions,
Right.
with their culture,
Yeah.
which I respect.
And that's why I thought
of
it
course.
was like women didn't go to fights, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but there are some different things out
Yep.
there in that way. But the sport's growing there.
Yes.
They're they've got some fighters now that they're starting to.
Right.
They'd love to have a world champion from Saudi Arabia. I think that would be an excellent thing for their country now that they're getting involved in boxing the way they are. But Saudi Arabia, they're bringing the UFC, they're bringing WWE. In fact, it was just announced that WrestleMania in 2027 is going to be in
Right.
Riyadh,
Yep.
Saudi Arabia.
Yep.
2026, they have the Royal Rumble.
Yep.
So, they're making some
It's a big partnership
big
that they're having.
moves.
Yeah, right.
It's
They
huge.
are.
And I think that the more events they do like this and the more people get an opportunity to go to Riyadh or go to Saudi Arabia, the more people are going to embrace it and know what a beautiful country it is.
Yeah, they've done a tremendous job over the last several years. I know that, they were trying to get big into golf out there, right? And then have an F1 race down in Saudi Arabia. Soccer, right? I mean, they signed one of the biggest stars on the planet, right?
Ronaldo,
yeah.
Yeah.
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's some big time moves that they're making. James, we might have to go see a fight out there one day, man.
That'd be nice.
We need to talk
It
to
would
His
be wonderful to
Excellency.
have you guys there. I think you'd really enjoy it, and I'm sure.
I think you should call His Excellency, James.
I'm sure he'd be honored to have you there.
A la chic. A la mon.
Yeah, that's awesome, though. I mean, what an amazing career and trajectory you've had, and
it's
to be at
crazy.
this level where, I mean, this is your full time gig, man.
It is, and I've always been one of those people that I just wanted to follow my dreams. I didn't want a real job. I grew up in the Chicago area where steel mills, oil refineries, all my uncles, my dad worked at the steel mill, my grandpa worked at the oil refinery, and I just didn't see myself there. I just didn't see that being the career path I wanted to take. And there's nothing wrong with
right.
those jobs.
That's
I mean, very
Just wasn't for you.
respected
Just wasn't
industries.
for you.
Just wasn't for me. And
Yeah.
again, at 17 was when I started to get really interested in broadcasting and this unique idea of ring announcing happened, and it changed the trajectory of my life.
That's funny because you don't. I mean, you talk to a lot of kids, right? You can talk to 1,000 kids and ask them, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" They'll either say basketball, football, whatever, right?
Yes.
Doctor, lawyer, judge, whatever, right? You don't hear some people say, "I want to be a ring announcer."
Hey, but
Right?
maybe somebody
But that's
watching
just
this
it.
today, they're
Yes,
going to say,
exactly. There's going to be some kids out there watching this and
Yeah.
say,
I wanna
"Man,
be a ring
I
announcer."
have a pretty decent voice or whatever,
Yeah.
and say,
Right.
I want to try that or
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. It's a cool gig.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
If I had that type of voice,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
absolutely.
Travel the world and
Yeah.
just announce.
You got to have
know,
that. And most people that announce, they always say the inside joke is you have your what is it? Not that you have a face for the camera. You've got a what is it? What's the old saying? You got a voice.
Face for radio.
Yeah, face for radio. Because it's always behind the
Yeah,
scenes.
yeah.
Because there's always some big dude or weird looking guy, but you got the whole package, man. And
Well, I
that's awesome.
appreciate that. I try to take care of myself.
I was going to say that earlier. I've never seen you without a jacket and suit.
And
When
I
I
was
saw
going
you
to
today, I said, "Man, you're buff." You're like, what do you weigh right now? Like 195?
No, I'm like
190.
between 175 and
Come
180.
on.
I actually
That's-
recently
you're-
lost some
5'10".
weight.
You're slim then.
we
Yeah,
have
I've slimmed
You're
down. I've
slim.
actually recently lost 20 pounds.
Okay.
I was just not eating properly.
What, was it
for a
stress
couple,
or was
I
it
think
just-
a combination of life stress?
Yeah.
Traveling makes it extra challenging. Not that that's an excuse, but boy, when they're handing out that cheesecake.
He has to travel that world. He has to travel around the world all the time.
Yeah,
Once
you
a month, he travels the world. How tough is that? But it is tough, right? Getting up and getting out, it's work. It's not.
It really,
it's
that's
work.
probably the hardest part of it.
Yeah.
And the time zone differences. A lot of my trips recently have also been like 3-week trips up to a month. So
wow.
I'm only home about 6 to 10 days a month, every month.
Wow.
I'm literally gone that October, November, and December. I'm pretty much not going to be home. In fact, November, I'm only going to be home about 4 or 5 days in November. Yeah, it's extensive travel. Now, it wasn't always like that though. But with working with Queensberry and now being part of the Riyadh season and the ring shows, with His Excellency, that's kind of doubled my workload. And I'm not complaining, but I'm going back and forth sometimes from Saudi Arabia to England, and then England back to Saudi Arabia, and it's a lot of time on the road.
Yeah. So, Tom, just a couple of questions on that. One is, are you like an independent contractor, or are you on salary for either one of these?
I am an independent contractor, so
Okay.
when I do my taxes every year, I do my taxes.
Yeah.
I am an independent contractor, but I have an agreement with Queensberry,
Right.
and being part of the Riyadh season and ring events as well. So, but you know how things are in the entertainment business. You never know how long things are
Yes.
going to last.
Yep.
Things can change, but I'm going to ride this out as long as I
So
can.
How many times do you think you've made that trip to Europe?
Oh my goodness! In 8 years
Yeah.
of going to UK, there was only about 4 months that I did not go to the UK, and that was during COVID. And that was the only. Other than that, I mean,
How many times a month?
I would say about
4 or 5
12
times
to
a month?
15 times a year for 8 years. I mean,
Okay.
what would that be?
Jeez, yeah.
So
I
okay. So you got to rack up some miles.
Yeah, I was
You
gonna
have
say,
some
can you
privilege
share
at
some miles?
these
Can you
airlines.
give
Like,
miles away?
What are some of the
I actually
perks?
could.
He could give miles away. He could give-
Yeah. What are some of the perks that a Tom Treiber has when he's traveling these days?
Well,
Not to brag, but but this is.
Yeah.
This is
It's,
Well, I am-
it's well earned.
yes.
It's miles earned. Well, everything's earned.
yeah.
It's hard work. It's earned.
Well, the thing is I've never been picky about my flight choices and things like that. But when you're on those, 8 to 15-hour flights, man, those are the ones you got to be business class.
Yeah.
It's really hard. If you're doing that every month, if you're flying to Europe, once a year, it doesn't matter, whatever.
Yeah.
But when this is every month,
Yeah.
it's hard on the body.
Yeah.
And, I've noticed even my neck's a little sore than it's been, in past years. And I think it's just all that time being on planes and so forth. But I have been very fortunate to where, Queensberry and the events I do for His Excellency. You know, they do fly me first class and business class, and
Nice.
you know, it makes a huge difference. So. And American Airlines, that's my airline. I'm not getting paid by them, but a wonderful airline.
Yeah.
And I recently moved up to what's called Concierge Key, which is an invitation only. That's not even anything you can apply for, or you know, a certain amount of miles gets you there. It is a invitation only, and it's been incredible. So when I connect now,
I never heard of that. It tells you how much I travel.
And you probably never will.
Yeah, I probably never will.
Well, next time you're boarding a flight and it's American Airlines, the first people to board is, "We welcome any Concierge Key customers."
Oh, I've heard
That'll be
that.
the
Okay.
very first thing you hear.
Oh, wow.
And you're also the first to exit the plane as well.
Wow.
And they supply transportation. So if I'm connecting in Dallas, let's say, when I fly to Dallas, the driver greets me at the airplane door, and we go down the stairs. I don't even go into the airport, and I get into a private vehicle, and they will drive me to my connecting flight or the lounge, the first class lounge, and you know, they really take care of you know, their frequent customers. But look, you know, it's nice, you know, to have that, but I'd be happy if I was in economy as well. I'm just happy to be working. And having an opportunity to do what I love, and I do fly economy on occasion, but for those international flights, like I said, that those are the ones you really want to be able to.
He flies economy to Austin.
Yeah. Well, just a question just popped in from one of our viewers, and they wanted to know: have you ever flown Spirit?
I have flown Spirit Airlines. It's been quite a few years. I do know that's the airline where you have to pay to check your bag or something like that, and so forth. But no knock on Spirit Airlines, but it's been quite a while.
So one of the other questions that one of the viewers had was they wanted, how many tuxedos do you own?
Holy cow, that's a great question. I'd have to go in my closet and count them. They build up over the years. In fact, I got rid of like 3 or 4, donated about 3 or 4 tuxedos recently, because you know, the closet was just getting too cluttered. And I look at them, like, you know what, I'm never going to wear that. You know, styles change.
Yeah, right.
You know, and even most recently, where I've, you know, lost a little bit of weight, I've, you know, had to buy a few new suits. So I would say 10 to 15 range.
Wow.
And then I have my favorites where I probably rotate between usually about 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah. So do you, when you travel, are you because that's your uniform, quite frankly, right? So when you travel, do you take like a couple with you? Is it just one that you're taking? Or
well, you know, what's really become interesting is with the Riyadh season shows, we do a fight week where I host grand arrivals on Tuesday. I host the media workout on Wednesday. I host the press conference with Michael Buffer, who I've had the honor of working with on all of these events, on Thursday. Friday, the weigh-in, and then Saturday, the show. So, you know, that's 5 days I have to have a different look.
Yeah.
So I try my best to bring what I need, but boy, that I bought a suit bag. Tumi is a great brand for travel gear. If anybody's an extensive traveler, I only use Tumi luggage. And they have a great suit bag where I could put about 6 to 8 suits in this suit bag.
Oh, wow.
And so yeah, it could be challenging. And
I bet you Buffer has 2 of those, because man, Michael, he's always like changing like a tuxedo for every fight he's announcing or something.
Every 30 minutes he's in a different tuxedo.
Yeah.
Speaking of Buffer, I mean, what an amazing guy. You know, they say don't meet your heroes.
Yeah.
And man, I'll tell you what, we've become great friends. It's been an absolute honor the last 2 years to work with him on all of these great events. I've learned a lot from him, and just a great person, a great guy.
He is. I mean, we both know him. I mean, you know, done some of James' fights in the past, but I met him through James's manager, Lester Bedford.
Great guy, Lester Bedford.
Yeah, Lester, because Lester was helping us out. Doing, I was part of the executive team that brought a professional minor league hockey team to San Antonio, and this was in '94. They were called the Iguanas, San Antonio Iguanas, and we didn't have nobody knew about hockey in San Antonio, but everybody loved boxing, and we wanted to sell the the toughness of the sport, especially at the minor league level. There's a lot of fights that go on, or as what our people like to say around here, a lot of chingazos that would go on. And so Lester recommended, hey, why don't we maybe we visit with Michael Buffer, see if he's interested to do the following. And that was, we would sell the toughness of it. And so, but we wanted a world-renowned ring announcer at the time, Michael Buffer, come in his tux, do a commercial spot for us.
Wow.
And we ended up creating a tagline called "Let's Get Ready for the Reptile Rumble," and so we worked the deal out with Michael to use that trademark,
which was not cheap.
Not cheap, but
well, it was cheaper back then than it is today.
Way cheaper, yes, yeah. Now he has his brother Bruce kind of negotiating everything.
Yeah.
Bruce is a little tough guy, great guy by the way, Bruce. But so Michael ended up announcing our "Let's Get Ready for the Reptile Rumble." And that was our campaign, and so the whole beginning of the iguanas, was selling kind of this rough and tumble sport. But what better ambassador than Michael Buffer to do that? We had James there for our opening game.
That's
Michael
fantastic.
Buffer announced all the entire team.
What year was this again?
This would have been in '94.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll have to ask Michael about that next time.
Oh yeah, the iguanas. Yeah. Yeah, he was. Michael was really, really cool, and since then got a chance to meet him over the years. I worked with him and Lester, a big fight that he did in El Paso at the Sun Bowl, and just another fun guy, but another guy with a lot of stories, man.
Oh, that's what I love. Fortunately, I've been able to travel with him a bit, going to the airports, and sometimes we're not on the same flights, but we'll go to the airport together, or after the press conference, weigh in and shows. He'll let me go in his private vehicle because he has his own personal driver everywhere we go, and I get the honor of joining him. Yeah, and nice. He's always got the greatest stories, and he does so many different voice impersonations as well. I think if
he's a character, he really is.
One thing people probably don't know about Michael Buffer is how funny he is, and the voices he does. So, when I started ring announcing, of course, it was Michael Buffer and Jimmy Lennon. So, to get to personally know both of them and call them friends, man, I'm a lucky guy right there if it ended tomorrow.
Yeah.
When you're in an auto accident, you shouldn't be concerned with legal runarounds, just real advice. You deserve an attorney ready to work for you, an attorney that won't back down.
I've lost loved ones due to the negligence of others. If you or a loved one has been injured in an auto accident, I want to be there for you.
Raul B. Rodriguez and his team care about ensuring you and your family are represented, whether on the road or in the workplace. Raul is real, and Raul won't back down. Call 210-899-0300 to schedule a free consultation.
So what are some of the most notable fights that you've announced?
Well, I've been part of, some big events, especially with the Riyadh season and the ring shows. Of course, Usyk versus Fury, fought twice. We had Bivol versus Better Biev. But fighters I've announced in the ring, I've done Dimitri Bivol fights. I did Floyd Mayweather's second pro fight. Now that's going way back into the early parts of my career, but who doesn't know who Floyd Mayweather is? And Bernard Hopkins, of course, got to do several of his fights back in the day as well. And working with Queensberry, I've had the honor of doing a lot of events. Tyson Fury fights, of course. And in fact, I did Tyson Fury's pro debut in December of 2008. I got hired for my first show in England, and it was in Nottingham, England, Trent FM Arena, and our opening TV fight was this big 6'9" kid. I think he was like 19 years old, maybe 20 most, and he was, who knew he'd have the career he had?
Wow.
Especially with the body he has, right?
Yeah.
He looks nothing like a boxer.
Yeah,
Nothing
physically,
like,
you didn't think,
like,
he didn't have that chiseled physique like an Anthony Joshua.
Right.
And Terrence Crawford as well. I did his early fights as well. In fact, on my Twitter or X as they call it now on Instagram, I posted a photo of me doing a post-fight. On this particular event, I ring announced and they had me do the post-fight interview.
That, yeah.
And it went a bit viral. People, I think, really like seeing that young Terrence Crawford. Seeing him at that. I don't think a lot of people saw him early like that in his career. So I've had the opportunity to ring announce, fighters and in many world title fights as well. So
you've had probably one of the best seats to some of the biggest bouts out there ever. Is there, particular fight that you've been ringside, just been in awe and said, I'm pinching myself. I can't believe I'm effing here doing this.
Wembley Stadium.
Wow.
Easy answer. Over 90,000 fans.
Jesus.
Wow. It's, to get to perform in front of over 90,000 fans, that's very unique in any form of entertainment. If you're a singer, dancer, announcer, to get to perform in front of over and I can't remember, I think it was 96,000, if I'm not mistaken, when Daniel Dubois fought Anthony Joshua, and Dubois knocked out Anthony Joshua to become world champion. I think we had about 96,000 fans that night. And I stood there in the middle of the ring, and I remember I did the co-main event right before the main event. And at that point, people are pretty much in their seats.
Yeah.
The early fights,
it's packed.
It's packed in. And I mean, the hair is standing on my arms. I don't have much hair on there right now, but I mean, it was like, wow. I had to take it in. I had to take in that moment. And then, so every show I've done at Wembley Stadium has just been an incredible experience. Of course, we just did Usyk versus Dubois, not that long ago as well. I'm not sure if we hit over 90,000, but it was in that ballpark. And then also in the UK, we did Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. And we had close to 70,000 at that one. That one was at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
They're fighting again, aren't they?
They are doing that. Yeah, I'll be doing that event.
Wow.
That is November 15th.
Nice.
In London, back at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's an amazing stadium. It's a newer stadium. But the UK fans. Did you ever fight in the UK, James?
Never did.
Maybe you could do it. You and Nelson 5 there.
Hurry up, Nelson, get ready.
Yeah.
Just show up.
But I was going to say that the fans in Europe are just I've been to my first professional soccer match, football match, was Manchester United against Liverpool.
Wow. And
at Old Trafford Stadium. And I'll never forget it. I'm expecting a lot of announcements like you see here. The game ball is being brought to you by FedEx or whatever. Nothing. They just announce the players. That's it. There's no music, nothing. And it's just the fans and the chants. And so when I watch the boxing events from down there, it's the same thing.
Yes.
It's just the chants, and that's special.
Yeah, they bring that soccer energy where they sing the songs, and it makes it so exciting to be part.
I could see that for you, man, being in there.
Jeez, okay, 90,000 people.
Yeah,
and to put that in perspective, I think they had maybe 65, 70,000 for Canelo Crawford.
Yeah,
I mean, imagine 30 more thousand people.
Yeah,
I mean, it's truly incredible. I mean, the boxing fans in the UK, they are rabid boxing fans. I mean, everybody I talk to there, it doesn't. If I'm in a taxi and everybody watches it. Everybody knows boxing.
Now, do you when you announce the fighters there, do you still? I can't recall right now, but I'm going to ask you this question. I know some of the fights that I've watched from there, they announce them, weighing. What do they use? Stone or what do they?
Oh yeah, yeah, they do use that. They've kind of gravitated a bit away from that with the broadcast. Most of the events I do now are on DAZN.
Yeah.
And that's, the global home of boxing. I'll look right in the camera and say that.
Yeah.
But if they have their local announcer announcing fights, do they go by stones?
When I have done that,
What is a measurement for that?
well.
I don't understand. Like, what is a stone?
Yeah, a stone I think is some. Gosh, I think it's like 14 pounds or so, like in our pounds.
Okay.
I think at 1 stone or something. It's somewhere in that area.
Okay.
Don't quote me.
I think I want to. I'm going to tell.
Correct.
Is it 14? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to start telling people instead of my actual weight, I'm going to use stones.
Hey, it makes you look a little slimmer.
Yeah, that's right.
What's your weight?
Hey, what are you weighing, man?
20 stones.
10 stone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think I'm going to start doing that. But I mean, anyway, so when you're in the ring, 90,000 people, and I mean, it's the pinch me moment.
Absolutely.
Was there a little bit of like in your mind, in your head, thinking, "Holy crap"? And is there, I mean, all of these years, from 17 years old, pro wrestling, announcing, boxing, ESPN, the Deuce, all of these years doing all these little regional fights and big fights and big fights, and 90,000 people, and it prepares you. You're ready for it. But still, you're up there in the ring. They're looking at you, and it's,
it's surreal.
180,000 eyeballs staring at you.
And a worldwide audience.
And a worldwide
Listening
audience.
to you,
yeah, and a
so
worldwide
is there a
audience.
little bit of like some yeah.
It's funny. People always ask me that question, and I mean, certainly the adrenaline is there, but I feed off of that.
You have to perform.
I
You're
think
there
as a performer,
Yeah.
you feed off the energy of the crowd sometimes. I mean, but I've always had the mentality of whether there's 50 people there or 94,000 people, like we had at Wembley Stadium, I still want to give 100% for every event I do, and that's why I even, when I'm honored to be part of charity events like you guys do, I want to make those, because you have like celebrities on there who are not boxers, or doctors and attorneys boxing. I want them to feel like they're part of a big fight. So I want to always go that extra mile to bring that level of professionalism.
And they feel it. They when they're hearing their names being announced, that's everything, because it's a proud moment for yourself too. Like, God dang, I'm up here, and this guy's announcing me. Like, he announces the world champions, and he's announcing me as well.
Exactly.
And it's funny you say that, because I'm on Cameo now. No, just a shameless plug. I'm on Cameo.
There you go.
Cameo.com. But yeah, I mean, I get requests. So
what are some of the requests you get on Cameo?
Oh man, I just did one for a newborn baby.
Oh wow.
A wedding. I got someone got a job promotion.
Oh wow.
All
so
kinds
do they
of
send
different
you
reasons.
the script, or do you have to kind of put it together?
They'll give me bullet points.
Okay.
I did have one gentleman recently give me a request, and boy, he like word for he must have had a secretary type this out. I mean, it was like perfect script. But mostly it's bullet points like, hey, we just had a newborn baby. She was 6 pounds 8 ounces. We'd like you to introduce her to the world in a boxing style, and it's an honor.
Give us a plug on that. How do people reach out to you on Cameo?
Yeah, it's you just go on Cameo's website, or go to their
search.
Just search Cameo, Cameo videos, and on my social media, which is I'm on X, Instagram, and Facebook, and LinkedIn. Just find me on there, and I've got the link for Cameo right there, where it'll take you right to my.
Is it Thomas Treiber?
Thomas Treiber.
Okay.
Thomas Treiber.
TH, by the way. TH.
That's right. Although in Mexico, I'm Tomas.
Tomas.
Amongst my, because I have.
Has anyone that has for a Cameo, like, to fire someone for them?
Oh, what's that?
To fire someone. Oh, like, we just want to let you know you are fired.
I did have a couple requests I had to turn down though.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because and they do review them. Cameo reviews them.
Okay.
So I have to be careful. You never want to cross the line with anything derogatory, if you will. But no firing requests yet. So maybe Donald Trump will reach out to me and ask me to do a cameo soon.
Yeah. Or His Excellency might have you do something kind of like on Cameo for somebody else they're trying to fire. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to have you do one on our behalf for the guy that didn't write the check out to you properly for the last red carpet brawl. We're just joking, by the way. Jason. No, just kidding.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, so 90,000 people, 180,000 eyeballs staring at you, a worldwide audience. I mean, you're dialed in, man. This is
you really do. You can't focus in on that. Like I said, I did take a moment.
Yeah.
To kind of just take it in a little bit, because I've never seen that many people in my life.
I see it, but time to work.
Exactly. I'm really focused on my lines, what words I'm going to be saying, but you do take that split second to go, wow, this is crazy, and and I thank God, I thank Jesus for blessing me to be in this situation, to be standing there, because even though, as we mentioned earlier, hard work can create luck. I mean, it truly is a blessing to find myself in this situation where I'm doing what I love for a living. I'm being part of the biggest events in boxing being shown worldwide, and I just don't take that for granted.
Yeah, no, it's very few people doing it, man, at that level.
Yep.
So you're in rarefied air.
I was telling somebody one time, you have a better chance, and maybe things have changed a little bit now with all the streaming and everything, but you honestly have a better chance of becoming a working actor in Los Angeles than becoming a full-time ring announcer.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
Making a respectable living,
Yeah.
I mean, it's that hard. There's only so many slots out there, spots, if you will.
How many spots are there for you guys? 4?
I mean, in boxing,
spots,
if we're not talking MMA or anything like, I mean, you got David Diamante with Matchroom, Joe Martinez, who does Golden Boy and also does MMA with UFC. Of course, there's Michael Buffer, Jimmy Lennon Jr., myself, Lupe Contreras, who we all know from all his years of ring announcing. I know he makes a great living. And there's a lot of really good ring announcers out there.
6 though. There's 6 well-known ring announcers
that I know of that do this full time.
Yes,
that
6.
don't have another side job.
Yeah,
like this is
and these are the guys
how we pay our bills.
Yeah, these are the guys doing the biggest of the big. I mean, you're in rarefied air. There ain't no doubt about it. It's the major leagues, Tom.
Yep.
I do feel very fortunate.
Yeah, that's
great.
We're fortunate that we've had you do our last 2 record carpet brawls, and looking forward to you doing the
and
third.
for a great cause.
Yeah,
and I just want to, while I'm here, just say, thank you for allowing me and honoring me to be part of these great events for a great cause. And maybe for our viewing audience, you can, explain to them exactly what the charity is about.
Yeah, well, it's a Leija Family Foundation, and we support programs, anything that has to do with mental health. And James Jr. has been very open about his struggles, and he's a great champion and advocate for it. And we just kind of all decided that this was going to be our cause, that we wanted to help support. And I know James and I were just talking about earlier. How do you? I mean, with everything that you got going on, Tom, how do you deal with the mental stress and mental health?
We've heard all the good stuff, but we know there's bad stuff or things going through your life or traveling, and just traveling that much is just is stressful. And what do you do to relieve some of that stress and to just sit back and relax? Say, you know what, I get to do this. I get to do what I'm doing right now. It's tough. It's hard. People are wanting me everywhere. I'm doing so many different shows, but I get to do this. What makes you think like that?
Well, I think that trying to eat well, get proper sleep, get some exercise. I think taking care of yourself physically like that is going to help with anything mental as well. I think that taking care of yourself in those ways is going to help you when you're struggling with something. And it is very challenging. It's very hard on family life to be gone as much as I have to be gone. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of time where you're sitting there alone, you're away from family, you're missing holidays, you're missing birthdays, graduations. There's certainly a lot of sacrifices involved in being in a job where that comes into play. But I'm human, just like everyone. I've had my struggles. I've had my ups and downs, and but I have always found that talking to family, friends, getting good exercise, eating as well as I possibly can. I think you need all of those elements. I don't think there's just one thing. I think if anybody is struggling with any mental health issues, I think, you should never be ashamed of reaching out, getting help for it, and doing everything you can so that you could be, as productive as possible.
Have you ever had, thanks for sharing that too, Tom. I mean, but have you ever had an event where things aren't going right? Maybe, I don't know if you're doubting yourself, but just things aren't going right for whatever reason.
Or you just don't want to be there because you don't feel like you can do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's been times where, you have, sleep deprivation, maybe you're sick. I have done events where I've had the flu. I did one event one time where I had food poisoning.
Oh, wow.
I've done events where I've lost a family member, where, you just got to, fight through it. And, just like yourself as a former fighter, you got to get in that zone. When you were stepping in the ring, defending your world titles, you couldn't be worried about your electric bill. You had to be focused on that fight, and you just have to block things out. So I just do my very best to, try and block out what may be bothering me at that particular moment and just do everything I can to perform at my highest level.
Yeah. Be in the zone.
Be in the zone, man. Get in the zone. AutoZone. No, that's a different. It's a different
zone.
Topic, yeah.
That's a different zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you? Have you had a situation where you're about to announce a fight? Well, first of all, look. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't. What are some of the things that you do? Sure, you're great. You look fantastic. You're wearing your nice tux, and you've got the microphone, and the cameras are on you, and you've got these words.
Tux number 8.
Yeah,
yes,
tux number
exactly.
8.
Yeah.
But what are, I know some of the things that you do, but for the people watching this, they don't know. What are some of the things that you do? Like, how does Tom do his work when he's got to announce that name? How does all that stuff come together?
Well, show prep is so important.
Yeah.
And, I was watching a documentary not long ago, and they were talking about Michael Jordan and how he would show up, 2-3 hours before a game and, do 100 free throws and this and that, and that type of work ethic, So I do my very best. That's why I try to meet with each fighter individually and get there, because they know how to say their name. They'll tell you where they live. I need to get trunk colors sometimes. And, I really want that one-on-one, especially when you're working with all these foreign fighters. I mean, my goodness, I'm part of right now the WBC Grand Prix.
Oh, wow.
And we are getting ready to do the semifinals next month. And all of these have been in Saudi Arabia. And Mauricio Suleiman's the one that brought me in to be part of this WBC Grand Prix tournament. And we started off with 4 weight divisions. And we started off with 16 fights in each weight division. And it was a 4-day tournament. And every fighter was from all over the world. I mean, the craziest names you could ever imagine. So
you've got to really study. You got to hear how do you pronounce your name, and you're trying to phonetically write it out.
I write it phonetically. Yeah. So I will ask the fighter exactly how do you say your name, and I try and listen to it, and then I'll repeat it for them, and then I'll say,
what's the hardest name you've had to announce?
Oh man, that's a good question. Oh goodness. You caught me right there. I can't think of anybody at this exact moment.
Davis.
Leija. No.
It's the worst you've ever messed up, but maybe nobody caught on.
I mean, there's certainly been times where a name, comes out and it wasn't exactly how you wanted to pronounce it. But, the key is you want to say it as close as possible. You're never going to say it exactly like they do in the Philippines or wherever they, in Korea or wherever the Ukraine or wherever that fighter might be from.
Right.
But the key is to say it as close as possible. Yeah. And, and boxing is a worldwide sports. So there's people watching in all of these countries. And I think that's one of the things I've really enjoyed, as well as meeting fight fans, especially even in Saudi Arabia. People are coming from all over the world from these events, and it's pretty amazing.
Have you had, that's what I meant to ask you earlier, have you, I'm sure you've got your crew, your friends in Saudi Arabia that you're happy to see when you get there, right? Because, I mean, you are away from home, and sometimes you might be gone several weeks, and you know, whether it's the people working at the hotels, or it's the people at the arena, the building, or even, you know, the promotions team. I mean, they become kind of like a de facto family,
they
right?
They really
and,
do.
And you know, so you get to see them. Do you have your Saudi Arabia friends that you look forward to seeing?
Oh, absolutely. You know, in the UK and in Saudi Arabia, and you know, and with Queensberry.
Besides the Sheikh.
Besides His Excellency,
yeah, of course.
You know, working for Queensberry for 8 years, and the majority of the staff has been there since I started there. Wow. So you really do become family.
Extended
family, because you know, sometimes you see them more than you see family members.
Special holidays, think about that, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I'll be spending Christmas this year in Saudi Arabia because we're doing a show December 27th to finish the year. So it'll require me to be there for Christmas. So
have you different subject, here in San Antonio, have you ever heard of Bill Merriman?
Yes, and I worked with him on one event one time in the Freeman Coliseum here in San Antonio, and I never, you know, everybody has should have their own style, and uniqueness, but he has to be perhaps the most unique ring announcer. Did he do any of your fights?
Oh yes, yeah.
Bill was. We all laughed.
Is he still around?
No, I think he passed. He's passed
a few years ago. But Bill,
he was a classic.
The best way to describe Bill, think of Ron Burgundy era. That was Bill Merriman.
Yeah.
From the tux to
Ron Burgundy era with the WWE flair.
Yeah, that's right. He used to. He was the announcer for the baseball team here in San Antonio minor league baseball ballpark over at VJ Key Field, and the games were on K-Buck Radio and KBUC, and he had a code word that he would, when he needed a drink. And so the beer guy would, I forget what the code word was. He would say something during the thing, and a couple of times he had to say it out loud several times. And the guy would bring him up a beer, and he'd drink his beer while he was doing his games, you know. But God bless his soul. He was
such a. I think some of his fights are on YouTube. I think he did like Mike Ayala and some of the Ayala brothers.
Yeah,
he did those fights, and he's just funny as heck.
Yeah, he was a character, man. I would get a kick when he would announce some of James's earlier fights, and he'd have his little script, and his hair was kind of really cool glasses and
colorful
bow tie.
Right? Yeah, I'm not mistaken.
Bow tie,
red velvet. The velvet.
I do remember that.
You know, and very well, dressed and everything else. But that was his style.
That's it.
And back in the day, they would have the mics, and of course, they were not wireless at the time; they were wired mics. And he would introduce James, and he would say, "El hijo del pueblo," and he'd be spinning around Pueblo, Jesse, James, and he's still spinning around, doing this.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, he's going to trip over. Because at this point, he had about 5 or 6 revolutions of the Mike Kobe.
Wow.
And he was like, for a while, he was like, oh, you know, scoot out a little bit of the camera.
He's done that. I've seen him do that and turn around and name the fighter Garcia. And
the wrong corner.
The wrong guy. He got himself dizzy.
Yeah, right.
Wow.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, so
amazing.
if you want to see something kind of neat, type in Bill Merriman on your search bar. Bill Merriman ring announcer and look.
I will have to do that.
Classic fights.
had brief interaction with him the day, but they had him do the undercards on a San Antonio show. This is when I was with Fox Sports Net and America Presents. We did one at Freeman Coliseum, and I remember Dan Goosen said, "Now, Tom, we've got a guy. He's going to do the undercards." And I was like, "Oh, okay." I'm like, "That's fine." And I remember I was just like, "Wow, I've never seen anything like this before."
He was great, though.
He was great. But he was just one of a kind guy. And I remember he was complaining to Lester.
Remember, so Lester had asked him what was his dream. His dream. What would you remember that?
Yeah.
He said, what was his dream? What would be your dream thing to do? And he said, to clutch the Oscar.
To clutch the Oscar.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. He was a character, but he was upset in one of James's fights because he wasn't announcing the TV fights. I think he did maybe one TV fight or something like that, and Buffer was doing the other. Well, they got some upstart Buffer doing the.
He was a real character outside the ring as well. Huh?
Yeah, he was. Oh God, just what it was. Those characters in boxing.
Yeah,
another character in boxing, man.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, listen, man. Is there anything that we missed that you may want to wrap us up with here a little bit? Is there anything you want to plug?
Like I said, I am on social media. So I am on X and Instagram and Facebook.
And we'll list some of those down here for you, too.
Okay, appreciate that. And it's Thomas Treiber.
Yep.
TH.
Yeah, ThomasTreiber. And please, I always love hearing, I always love connecting with people and hearing from boxing fans. And, as we record this, I've got a very busy end to the year. How
many bouts or how many fights do you have?
I've got about just 12 more shows maybe.
Wow.
My next stop will be Glasgow, Scotland, October 4th. Then back to Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, October 18th. Then October 25th, London, England, Joseph Parker versus Fabio Wardley, heavyweight fight there. And then it just continues on into November and into December.
I'd like to see your passport.
It's got quite a few stamps.
Yeah,
got quite a few stamps. Wow.
And you wrap up the year December 27th back at Riyadh.
That'll be the last show of the year. We'll also, I think the week before that, we'll be in Manchester, England as well. And also with the WBC Grand Prix, that we've got a couple more. We've got the semifinals in October and the final in December, both of those are in Saudi Arabia.
What do the winners get from that Grand Prix?
I know there is a financial prize. I'm not quite certain what it is, but it's been great exposure. They're airing on DAZN, and most of them are young, undefeated fighters trying to, get to that next level.
Yeah.
And they've been incredible matchups. Mauricio Suleiman, president, of course, of the WBC, has put together a great staff because it is a lot of work. Like I said, it's 4 weight divisions. And when we started this tournament, it was 16 fights a day. I mean, it was an 8-hour show each day, 4 days in a row. And, as fighters get eliminated, things, the days are less. But
were these 8-rounder fights or 10?
They're 6-round fights.
6 round, okay.
6-round fights. And
still quite a bit.
It is. But I'll be part of the 2 remaining, the semifinal, and then the final in December, in addition to a show in Manchester, in addition to our final show December 27th with the fighter from Japan, Inoue.
Inoue, wow, yeah.
Yeah, he'll be on the he'll be the main event.
Wow.
On December 27th.
So he's one of my favorite fighters.
Why is he one of your favorites?
He just knockout power. He's 28-0 with whatever. I forgot. He's just amazing. Just so much power. He's my favorite fighter right now.
Really? Wow. I need to check him out. And what fight is that?
That'll be December 27th.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't think of his opponent's name right now.
Yeah. But that's on the Riyadh.
That'll be in Riyadh, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, cool. December 27th, live worldwide on DAZN.
Yeah.
And check out all the Queensberry shows. I mean, we moved to DAZN in April,
Okay.
and Matchroom is on DAZN. Golden Boy is on DAZN. And that's why they call it the global home of boxing. I mean, it's really a one-stop shop. Yeah. I mean, if you're a boxing fan, it's worth every dollar to get the DAZN app, because you're going to be watching, and not just boxing. There's, the bare knuckle. There's MMA. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of combat sports on there as well. A lot of
violence.
There you go. There you go.
But it's. I'm glad that's happening, because there needed to be a new home. It needs to be that. Yeah. Yeah, and DAZN is just as good as any for even their studio.
Yeah.
And the host, when they go live, it's well polished, man. It's a really, really good program.
It's a top-notch production.
I wanted to ask you here before we wrap this up, but so you've done a lot of bouts, and here recently a lot of fights, and you got several more before the year's end. And we talked about your current famous fighter right now, the favorite that you want to see, Inoue. Mm-hmm. What are some of the other fighters that we should be looking out for in going into 26, 27? What are some of the ones that you think that we should be looking into? Because you see a lot of them.
Absolutely. Well, there's one heavyweight fighter from the UK. His name is Moses Atalma. Mm-hmm. And, undefeated heavyweight. He recently fought Dillian White in Saudi Arabia. This kid just seems to have it all.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And, people have very, very high hopes for him. He is promoted by Queensberry, managed by Francis Warren, the son of Frank Warren. And they're saying that, he could be the next Joshua Usyk. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I mean, he's that special.
What's his name again?
Moses Atalma.
Atalma.
Okay. Atalma. Itauma. Moses Atalma.
Right.
And so he's definitely very high on that list of keep an eye on that guy. Probably when I see you guys in January for the next, charity event, he'll probably have a few more fights before then. Hopefully you'll get a chance to see him fight. But
have you seen him, James?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a very, very special fighter. And he's out of the UK. There's the WBA featherweight champion. Now, you mentioned your favorite fighter is Inoue. I have a favorite fighter. His name is Nick Ball. Nick the Cannon Ball. He's the WBA featherweight champion. He's only about 5'2".
Well, they're both the same height. I mean, the same weight.
I know. Well, that's that could be down the road.
It's a great moniker, man. The Cannon.
The Cannon Ball. I mean,
at 5'2".
What else can you call this guy? And he's like a little mini Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
I mean, he doesn't stop throwing punches, and he doesn't sit down in between rounds. I mean, he is just, a really exciting fighter to watch. And when I introduce him, I always say, ladies and gentlemen, here is the reigning, relentless, defending. I always throw in relentless because that describes his style.
Wow.
He's just a relentless fighter, Nick Ball.
I'm looking forward to seeing that one, man.
Yeah.
That's cool. That'd be a good fight.
So, I mean, the crazy thing about boxing is you never truly know who's going to become a world champion. You could have great amateur pedigree, but you just don't make that transition to the pros.
It doesn't always transfer over, because you have that amateur style, and that amateur style doesn't carry on to the pros.
There you go.
That's the bad thing about being. That's why I said don't be an amateur too long. And some guys it helps, right? The guys that have 200-300 amateur fights, you just know how to fight if you have that many fights. But if you're an amateur and you have 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 fights and then try to transfer over to the pros, doesn't always help because you got stuck on one style and you have to relearn. You almost have to relearn the whole thing again.
Interesting.
It doesn't transfer over.
And what was
I always tell people this: boxing as an amateur and boxing as a pro is two different sports. It's not the same.
That's interesting.
But every other sport's the same. Basketball's the same.
Right.
Swimming,
right.
Football, baseball, they play it all the same, but it's not scored the same in the amateurs and pros. Amateurs just pity pats and trying to get your glove to score. Doesn't matter. But in the pros, it's power, it's finesse, it's technique, it's movement, it's generalship, ring generalship. It's all that, right? It's nothing like that in the amateurs. Two different sports.
Wow.
Two different sports.
It certainly is.
Yeah. Well, you've seen a lot of it, man.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom, listen, it's been an absolute honor to have you at the Leija Lounge.
Well, where's the drinks? I've been waiting for.
Well, that's another thing, Jason.
I've been drinking my drink.
That Jason, I tell you
what,
it's
like false advertising here. The
slack.
lounge, no drinks.
Yeah.
Jason's starting to slack on us a little bit.
No,
here,
it's been my honor. I really, really appreciate it.
But more so, we're just really honored and to have you a part of our family for the Leija Family Foundation and the Red Carpet Brawl. You're an integral part of it, Tom. You bring that. You bring your professionalism.
Mm-hmm.
You bring your showmanship into the ring for the people that participate in it, and they're just average, people, whether they're local politicians, attorneys, business people, or just, last year we had a mom, she's just she wanted to participate and raise some funds for mental health, and so like anybody could do it, but you really bring your professionalism to announcing them when they walk to the ring, and then when they're sitting at the corners there. It doesn't get any better than that. So on behalf of the Leija Family Foundation, thank you so much.
Well, very nice of you to say that. And it's absolutely my honor to be part of something for such a great cause.
Yeah, well, and we're very, very blessed and fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll have you again on the 31st, right?
Can't wait.
Yeah, January 31. Let's do it. So, folks, that about does it for us here on the Leija Lounge. We had a great episode with Tom. Just make sure that you give us a like, a thumbs up, let your family and friends know about it, and you can share this episode with some of your friends as well too. So we'll see you on the next Leija Lounge.